The Gratitude and Attitude Podcast. Welcome to Gratitude and Attitude, everybody. I'm Pri, and this is Nan.
Hi.
And we have Carlos in the house today. We feel very fortunate to have him with us.
I know he hasn't been with us for a little while, so I'm
Our
glad to
favorite
have him
techie.
back.
It's only been one episode.
No, I feel like he hasn't been here for at least
You just have missed him. And you know why you missed him?
Why?
Because he's your number one buddy.
He is.
Because he agrees with everything you say.
He does.
And he agrees with nothing that I say,
Right, Carlos?
Whoops.
What'd you say?
You fire me and then you take me
Carlos,
back.
you're totally fired.
Right, Carlos?
Again. I'm
Again.
getting used to it. I'm getting used to it.
I know. I think I fired him. Like, no.
Anyway, we're happy to have Carlos here. And we
Yes.
want to talk. We want to jump right in. Well, let's catch up a little bit. How have your last few days been?
My last few days?
Yeah. And what podcast could you use?
I could use the, what was the one we did? The worst freaking memory.
The one on annoyance.
Annoyance.
Before you snap.
I'm always annoyed.
Dealing with annoyances.
But
You've had a lot of extra stuff happen.
yeah. But I get annoyed, but then I don't act on my annoyance.
Yeah.
Is that even a word?
Yeah.
I don't act on it. But I know how I get so annoyed. I can't help it.
Carlos, how about you? So everybody, review the podcast that's about Before You Snap, Dealing with Annoyance. Nan could use some of her own lessons. Carlos, how about you? How you doing?
Great. I'm feeling great. The weather is perfect these days.
Yeah, you
it
look
is
very,
perfect.
very summery today.
Yeah, you do.
I love that color on
I
it.
said he's pretty.
What
and
color?
pink.
Is that like
It's like salmon.
salmon?
So,
Salmon.
Salmon. That's what I usually
Yes,
say.
you do say that.
But you then
say
ridicule me.
salmon.
But you didn't
Salmon.
ridicule him when he said salmon.
It's okay.
Yeah, because you guys are buddies.
she likes to laugh at me when I make mistakes.
No. Okay.
All right.
So that's a good
Let's get
catch
back
up.
on track, everybody. I'm taking Priya's place.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay, go ahead.
No, that's all I got to say. Let's get back on track.
Okay, all right. Let's get back on track, everybody. Today we're talking about actually kind of a serious subject.
Very.
And the topic sentence is trauma. It doesn't have to have the last word.
Yeah.
And we started talking about trauma because actually this is Carlos's choice today.
Yeah.
And Carlos, do you want to share why this was something that was kind of near and dear to you because of share a little bit about the video and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. I saw, I read a little bit about trauma and I saw that documentary that we saw together. And it looks pretty interesting because a lot of people are suffering from trauma. And trauma doesn't have to be something big that happens to you.
Right.
You know, and I thought that was a nice topic for today.
Yeah, I think the funny part is a lot of people think trauma like I have to have been in a fire or a terrible car accident.
Right.
But there's so many other versions of it.
Yeah.
And I know you guys have done a lot of prep for this and you're ready to talk about those things. I've kind of picked a slightly different angle on trauma. But I want us to go over and share the documentary that we saw and then a little bit about what each of you learned from the documentary. And then whatever else you want to share. Do you have stuff that you want to share in particular?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me hand it over to you and then you can kind of open up and start the conversation.
Okay. Well, first of all, let me get back here to the beginning. I want to explain what trauma is.
Oh, yeah.
Which is
I
very
love that you
important.
always do the definition.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Lord,
got
I
to
got a lot
start
of
with
notes.
you gotta
Okay.
start
So
with the definition.
yeah, because sometimes, even like for me, I've learned that trauma is so many different things. But trauma is a strong emotional or psychological response to an event that is deeply distressing and overwhelming or frightening. It's not just the event itself, it's how your mind and body experience and carry it.
That's excellent.
Here's a simple way to understand trauma. And it's kind of what you were just saying. There's different kinds of trauma. Trauma happens when something overwhelms your ability to cope. So this can be a single incident, a repetitive or ongoing stress, such as long-term abuse, neglect, or living in an unsafe environment, emotional wounding, even without physical harm. Types of trauma. This is what I found interesting. So types of trauma, because I never really thought, okay, trauma is trauma, right? So acute trauma, like I just read, caused by a single stressful or scary event. Chronic trauma, repeated or prolonged, which I said before, and complex trauma with multiple traumatic events over time, often beginning in childhood and involving relationships. So, like you said, like a single trauma, like getting into a car accident or something like that. I've had trauma, and I'll talk about that later, you know, about my husband almost dying. That was like a single trauma. It was acute. That was fast. It was horrendous, you know. Now, chronic trauma, okay, so that's more like abuse, but complex, or different types of abuse, but complex trauma is so many different traumatic experiences. So something that you've been dealing with, like from a child on, and different things being different
Adding
trauma.
in.
Yes, adding. And that's something I'll read at the end, but how trauma can affect you. It can affect your emotions. So you have fear, anxious, anger, numbness, thoughts. So your thoughts can be intrusive, memories replaying events, confusion, body tension, fatigue, headaches, trouble sleeping, behavior problems, withdrawing, avoiding, irritability. The nervous system stays on high alert even after the danger is gone.
Yeah.
So it's like
you're still like in a posture of like
that fight
bracing.
or flight. Yes,
for
that
it.
feeling. Trauma. It's horrible trauma too. Like you think about it, I've learned that I could have a trauma even 10 years ago, and I could still have post-traumatic stress from that trauma that affects me later. Like it didn't even, I was fine within the 10 years, but then I start having issues. And it relates back to trauma that I had 10 years ago. Is that crazy?
Interesting. Yeah, because you think, okay, that's done. I handled it.
It's not. You can have post-traumatic stress at any time. I learned that in therapy.
Yes.
You know, because that's happened to me, because with Harvey almost passing.
Yeah.
And then all my, dealing with illnesses, and then,
Your own illnesses.
Yes.
Your husband almost
the losses
dying,
that
like
we've had.
literally being on the verge of death. And then the loss of your,
Yeah.
Kyle.
So that type of trauma. And I'm just going to share a little bit of that story because I'll never forget the feeling of that trauma. Yeah. Like I will never forget the moment of something like that happening. So
share it.
So it's like one of your worst fears. This has always been one of my worst fears.
Yes.
One, and I have quite a few, as you know.
We need to pull out Scaredy Squirrel again.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Where's that book?
We did a podcast on fear, everybody. Do the keyword fear on our podcast and you'll find it.
But you being on a plane, high up in the air, and something serious happened. So my husband started having convulsions, like, on a plane where there's, it's not easy access to get him help and all that. So he was very sick. He was shaking. He was convulsing. He was freezing. He ended up having MRSA. And then so many other things just added on to that. Okay. So, but as I'm on the plane with him and I'm thinking like, this is so traumatic. Like I'm watching him, just shaking and just trying to keep, he was just so sick and there was nothing that I could do about that. Yes. That's where my trauma started right there. If I think about that, that just kind of throws me for a loop. I mean, seriously, because even when I get on a plane now, I don't think it's going to happen again, but it's just like a little bit of a trigger when we get on a plane because I think about that.
Wow.
It was terrible.
It was so horrible.
Bad. It was so bad. And there was no doctor on the plane.
Wow. That's crazy.
But the flight attendants were amazing. And they're like, when we land, we have an ambulance waiting for you, waiting for him. And I remember him saying, no, I want to go home.
Yeah.
I don't want to go. I'm like, oh my, you got to go to the hospital. Like, you're
Yeah.
very sick,
Yeah.
So that's when all the trauma started. And then he almost passed away. Like
How long was he in the hospital?
Back and forth for months.
Yeah.
So they thought, he was very, 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 very sick.
And share about how the doctors continued to prepare you for him to die. Like,
Yeah, they told me.
every 5 minutes.
Yes.
They were like, what were they saying to you?
That night when I got him in, when we were there, and he couldn't breathe, his throat was closing up and his airways, and he just was, they rushed him out into ICU or wherever they were taking him. I can't even remember, but I remember the doctor telling me, because I'm a numbers person, I'm like, what's going on? Like, are you telling me? Because they're like, your husband is extremely, extremely sick. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? They're like, we did these cultures, and within half hour, they were already, whatever they do when you do cultures,
Yes.
which is supposed to take like a day or
Yeah.
so for them to come back. But he was just full of
The
infection.
bacteria and the
was
infection was
terrible.
running amok.
Yeah. So they're like, he has a very small percent, like a 5% chance of surviving this. It was terrible because
It actually makes me want to cry.
I know, it
just
was
listening to
horrible
it again.
because when you have MRSA, then everything else, your infection, so everything in your body starts failing
Yeah.
because you have this high infection.
Yeah.
So he ended up getting, he got pneumonia. He got meningitis.
Yes.
Meningitis. He had something on his bones, these lesions. Like, it just, his body went just in a havoc, I guess I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that was traumatizing. That's probably one of the most, even like me being sick was not as traumatizing. That was traumatizing.
Well, it was violent.
Yeah.
And the illness was so severe.
It was very severe.
And then the doctors are saying,
He's not going to make it.
your spouse has a 5%
Yeah, it was
chance
horrible.
of making it, 95% chance
Yeah.
of dying. And it all starts with you sitting on an airplane coming back from a
know.
vacation.
So crazy. That happened that fast.
Yeah.
So that's an acute trauma.
Yeah,
Like
that
that's
is
like
acute.
fast. So in my mind, I'm like, what the heck is happening here?
Yeah.
This is, is he going to make it? And then to watch him he was on life support, and to watch that and thinking like, and then your body swells
Oh my God.
because it get the
Oh my
infection.
gosh. Yeah.
So he didn't even look like himself.
Yeah.
He was
And then
so
he changed
swollen.
colors a couple
He
of times.
turned purple from the antibiotics. Then they thought he had leukemia, and it was just a mess.
Yeah.
It was just a mess. But by the grace of God, he survived.
Well, not just that, but he's
Yeah.
better than ever.
Yeah.
He's so healthy.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at him when I'm hanging out over at their house and he comes in and we're sitting at the kitchen island talking, and he'll walk in and I'll just be like, God, thank you so much for him being alive and making it through that. And what you hope is that when you brush that close to death, that you and everybody around you is like, every day that I have is a gift. That's the only takeaway that you can have, because you don't know when your
Right.
last day is going to be.
Right. And I say that, especially if I get mad at him or if he drives me crazy. And then
Yeah.
I have to think, okay, I'm so thankful that he's here. So, but, I do have to think that sometimes because, you're like, I have to be extremely grateful. I mean, he
Yeah.
definitely got a second chance at life.
He did.
He really robbed the grave in a sense.
Kind of.
I mean, you know what
Jesus snatced him out of the jaws
Yeah.
of death. That is for
I mean? That's
sure.
for
He was
oh
close.
my gosh, yeah, terrible.
Yeah, it was-
But that is probably
Because so back to the subject,
Right.
you're talking about acute trauma.
yeah, I think that's probably the biggest trauma if I can think like in my life. Like I've been sick and I've had some, things happen.
Well, you've been sick 3 times, and each time your nervous system has attacked your body
yeah.
and paralyzed you.
Yeah.
And that would happen over the course of time. And then it would take you 6 months,
to a year.
to a year to learn how
The
to
first
walk
time,
again.
A year, yeah.
Yeah.
First time it took me a year.
Yeah. So that's some trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I try to think, like the different side, like losing, we lost Kyle.
Kyle.
So that was traumatic also. That was definitely traumatic. But I don't know if you would call that acute, you know what I mean? Because that's something that, you know what I mean? Like you are.
Well, acute
You know?
just means how it happens.
Right, it
It's
was
not.
fast.
It's not how long term the result is.
It's not. I thought that's what it said on the thing. Like it's
Go
it's,
back and see what it says about acute, because acute is an actual
Right.
like it's the event.
Right, but
But you're not going to be over an event like
no,
that.
you're not. You're not. That's what I'm saying. So that is something
I thought you said you thought
chronic. Well, no. Acute caused by a single stressful scary event. So chronic trauma repeated or prolonged.
Acute, maybe.
Yeah, then it would still be acute. Yes. But I wouldn't be over it. I mean, something that you linger.
But that's what I'm saying, is that
Yeah.
the actual way the event occurs,
Yeah.
there is no reflection on the
Right.
amount of time that it stays with you.
Right. It's just how
It's just how it happens.
Yeah. Well, because the complex one is different ones, but the I guess the chronic, that's what stays with you. That one stays, because chronic is continually.
Everything stays with you, but a chronic event would be getting beaten
Yeah.
every single day.
Yes.
The event continues to happen.
Right. That's what I mean. Yes.
Correct. So just making sure that it's super clear. What you're talking about is how an event
Right.
happens. If it's a
Fast.
singular event, which is Kyle,
Yeah.
or it's a chronic event, which is the continuing, like a woman who, I always get wrecked when I even say this out loud, a woman being abused by her husband or
Yeah.
boyfriend. That's chronic trauma.
Right.
So, but none of these reflect how long it can stay with
Right.
you.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
So the event of time that it takes to happen is not connected to to the timeline on how much it can affect you.
Yeah.
That's important for us to separate.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like an x-axis and a y-axis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so anything else that you wanted to share before we moved over?
there's-
Because those are really good.
There's a bunch of other stuff, but I can talk about it later. But I want to because I want to talk about too after, how to deal with it and how to heal from
Okay.
it. But I want to ask you guys. So what about you and Carlos? Like, have you ever really had a traumatic experience that
Yeah. Something easy and probably common for a lot of people. Might be what happens to me not long ago, and I told you about it, right? I used to like party every weekend,
Oh yeah.
and if I go to the beach, I go with a bunch of people everywhere. I was never alone, and I did that for many years, probably more than 20 years. And one day, my wife asked me, "Why you can't be alone with your family? You only wants to be with a bunch of people hanging around." I never thought about it until recently, probably a couple of years, 1 year ago, something like that. And I realized that probably that came from a traumatic event in my life, where when I was as an adolescent, I was probably all those years I was by myself.
As an adolescent.
Yeah, and as an adolescent, yeah.
Even before that, though.
Even before that, but just not going too deep into that, just being very superficial.
Yeah.
Is I was by myself, not having someone to talk with, being alone for very prolonged periods of days. Probably I didn't want it to feel alone anymore.
Yeah.
And that was the reason for me to always be with a bunch of people. And at the end, when you feel safe and you go back in time and you revive and you think, why I'm doing this? Why my behavior? Is there an explanation for this? And then you find out that yes, something happened to you in the past.
Yeah.
It's been living in your body, in your mind this whole time. And the only way to free yourself from that weight is going back in time, think of what happens, how that make you a better person today, understand, and talk, have connection, be in peace,
Yeah.
and then you begin to heal
Yeah.
from trauma. But the funny thing is, you can do daily things not knowing why
Yes,
you
I think that's the
have
big
those,
takeaway.
why you have those behaviors.
Yeah.
And that's the key point to understand, because I really believe that we came to this place being alive to improve ourselves, to go over everything that happened to us, overcome everything, and being better person every day, no
Yeah.
matter what happens to you. Trauma, finding trauma and healing from trauma is a huge
Yeah.
step
It is.
to understand also who you are.
Yes. Not to interrupt, but I do want to be very transparent because we're sitting here talking about Kyle, and people don't know who he is. Like, you know what I mean? So that's Harvey's son, which is my stepson, which is my husband's son. And he was like a son to me. And the way he passed was from suicide. So that's a trauma, because I don't want people to think, well, who are they talking about? What do they
You know
mean?
what? I love that you shared that. It's really, really a deep and personal
Yes.
and painful moment
Right.
in time.
Yeah.
And I really admire you for sharing that.
Yeah, because I just want it, because that's such a hard trauma. And I'm not saying that trauma wasn't as traumatic as my husband almost passing. It's just two different kinds of traumas too, you know? So
Well, it's just so
it's
sad.
both horrible,
Yeah,
terrible,
terrible.
traumatic things to go through.
Yeah, and even Carlos, like for you, and I
Yeah.
want to stay kind of camped out
Yeah.
in this part of the podcast on identifying trauma.
Yeah.
And then we'll move into the next part, because I know that you have some really good stuff
Yeah.
to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you traumatized right now?
No, I'm fine.
Well,
But you were right, Carlos. Everything
yeah,
you said
and-
was really.
Yes. So thank you for sharing about Kyle. Thank you for sharing about how lonely your
Yeah.
childhood was and your adolescence. And yeah, I'm really glad you said that.
Well, yeah, because I don't want people to, you know,
Yeah.
like, who is this person? What do you mean? Like, what are you talking
Yeah.
about? And
I think the takeaway so far, especially for yours, Carlos, is that if you don't acknowledge trauma, you're bound and destined to repeat possibly unhealthy habits in your life that developed as a response to the trauma that you experienced.
Sure.
And if you don't really look inwards and go, okay, yeah, there's definitely, that was very painful. And I adjusted to that, and I found relief from that pain by spending my life partying with a ton of other people, even after I got married, right?
Yeah.
And found
Yeah.
my person. And you definitely found your person. She's amazing. So I love, though, that you had someone in your life who said, why do you do that? Because a lot of times we don't. So we
Yeah.
just keep doing the thing
Yeah.
without giving someone permission to ask us, hey, why do you think you do that? And then you're a soulful enough person. You're a deep enough human being where you went, my
Yeah.
wife just asked me this, and clearly she's not psyched about my behavior. So she's asking me some
Yeah.
probing questions. I think that's kind of like a big takeaway for anybody watching, or even for me as I listen to you. When you hear about trauma, when you hear about yours, and when you hear about yours, there is no way to fathom the pain that trauma causes. It's so impossible to ever step into somebody else's shoes
Absolutely.
and understand, gosh, that's so painful. Also, it doesn't even have to be like a feeling of abandonment as a child or deep loss. It can be things very, very, very different from that someone will experience trauma from.
Right.
And then there's a whole like portion of judgment that occurs with the rest of us where you're like, you want trauma? She
Well,
experienced trauma. So what I'm saying is
experiences trauma differently, though.
exactly what I'm saying is that even just talking about yours, that's some legit stuff.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be like something about mortality or abandonment. It can be anything that someone can experience. So I just want to make sure that that one of the things that we learned in that video that we watched was that a lot of times, like a lot of people turn to drugs to
Right.
respond to trauma. And then what happens is people judge the drug addict,
Yeah.
the junkie, because why do you have to keep doing that? You know, okay, so your parents got divorced. No, it's very, very deep, and it's a deep, deep cut. And, you know, because someone would say, well, my parents got divorced and look at me.
Yeah.
But everybody experiences it differently. And when we release ourselves from being like, I handled that. Why can't you handle that? It's because we're all different, and the way we respond is wildly different.
Yeah, of course. Well,
that was a big takeaway from the video.
Before you get going further, I want to know about you though. Like,
okay.
Have you ever experienced like any real trauma?
Yeah. I don't think in the ways that you guys did.
Mm-hmm. It's the perfect example of what you're talking about.
Right. So here's what someone like me would say is like, I didn't suffer as much as you guys suffered, like, cause we think, but the truth was I did. And there's something that I'm going to get into called adverse childhood experiences. Mm-hmm. My trauma started earlier. Mm-hmm. And I've mentioned before that my mom was very, very sick. Mm-hmm. She was an abusive alcoholic. Mm-hmm. So not only did she hurt herself and her behaviors, but she also like hurt us. Like she would just go into a fugue state and there'd be no stopping. Mm-hmm. Sort of like whatever it was that whatever physical manifestation of that was, whether it's like beating, pushing, berating, screaming, shouting. It's very, very like, talking about being like super transparent, and what do people do in families like that? You hide it. You pretend like everything's fine. Everything's normal. Mm-hmm. Nobody pay attention here. Nobody look over here because she's perfect. But that's a part of my childhood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Traumatizing.
And it is traumatizing. So yes, I mean, if you were to go through, and I'm going to read, they call them ACEs. Mm-hmm. If you have like 6 out of the total number of ACEs, you've experienced sort of a deeper trauma.
Yeah, but I wonder, like, I bet you the majority of people have had trauma in their lives.
Correct.
I mean...
Correct. And here's the delicate balance. Mm-hmm. So even when I say it out loud, it's hard to share trauma because what you want is, don't feel sorry for me. Yeah. That's my personality type. Mm-hmm. Don't feel sorry for me. I'm fine. It made me better. And it did. I actually grew and used it to become a greater human being. Mm-hmm. But most people wouldn't say, like, that was traumatic. My mom screaming at me every day from the minute I got home from school to the minute I went to sleep. Like, they'd be like, yeah, my mom was a yeller, right?
Yeah, and it's funny.
They would downplay it.
Yeah, it's funny not funny that you say that, but it's like when you just said that, it's like I wouldn't tell people because you know what? I'd be the same way. All my stories has nothing to do with wanting pity or people.
Correct.
Nothing. Like, it doesn't even cross my mind.
But I think that a lot of people are that way, and they go, I don't want to share that because I don't want them to think that I'm blaming my life on my parents. I don't blame my life on my parents. I'm grateful. I am genuinely grateful to my parents for all the good that they did and their failures. I'm so thankful.
Sure.
Because I learned from them. Mm-hmm. Like, that's important to remember. Like, I know what not to do. And also what to do based on what's admirable and what's not.
Yeah, but you're extraordinary. You're different. Like, a lot of people would not be able to do that. I mean, think about it. Like, think of people who've been in a home with an alcoholic mom that was mentally, physically abusive. Yeah. Like, I can guarantee, no, I'm not going to guarantee, I can't say guarantee, but I would probably bet that that a lot of them couldn't just say what you just said, that I'm thankful for all that because it made me who I am. There may be more people would be blaming their parents for where they are. Like,
maybe. I mean, I think.
You think people?
No, absolutely no.
I think. No. I think it's more that way.
You see that
you're extraordinary.
Plenty of times.
Yeah. You just took your struggles and you used them as.
Yeah. I don't know because it's my own experience. I think. Well, most people are like me.
No.
Because you wouldn't be a more
I don't
like
think so.
You think about that. It's almost like a diamond. A diamond starts as a piece of coal, and there's massive force on it, and then all of a sudden you have a diamond.
That's
how I consider myself.
Yeah, but that's extraordinary. Not a lot of people.
Long time.
Yeah, not a lot of people. I think that go through trauma like that. I think. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I think you're an exception.
Thank you.
Right, Carla? What do you think?
When you hear people talking about trauma, whatever happens to them in the past, the way they talk about what happens, tells a lot about the healing.
Yeah. Right. How they heal. That's good.
You hear someone complaining about what they do, and they say, no, my parents, they
Yeah.
did that, and that's the reason who I am right now. That's the reason I'm
That's
doing
really
so
good.
bad. They haven't healed.
That's really good.
It's so good.
Because you are right. That is because
Yeah.
you've worked so hard too
I
on
have.
yourself.
Mm,
That makes a lot of
The
sense.
moment you
Yeah.
admit
Mm-hmm.
that whatever happens to you needs to happen, and you are in peace with that, and whoever was, that's when the healing
Yeah.
process begins.
That's a very good point.
That's
So good.
excellent.
So when
Yeah,
I hear that, I say, okay, of course,
Thank
she
Yeah,
healed,
right.
not time ago from there.
Yeah,
The way you
she's-
talk about it.
Right, to look at it as a diamond and to get that diamond, it has to go through a
Oh,
lot.
massive force. You have to have a mountain pushing down on it.
Yeah.
And I think for me, the goal today, I was thinking to myself, what do I want to make sure I communicate? Is that when we said trauma doesn't have to,
right.
you know,
Have the last word.
have the last word. Like I would say, I'm a living example, and anybody else can be.
Yes.
And I think a lot more people are. I don't know that, and and I know that I know what
Yeah.
you say, and I love you for
Yeah.
like acknowledging the work.
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot of work to get to that point. But I think that it has the capacity, trauma has the capacity to give you a heart for others,
Yes.
a deeper empathy for others, but then also to use it to launch yourself into an even better place, because being a survivor of it is it's pretty freaking awesome. And then learning how to use it for your good and others is taking, the word of God says something to the effect of like he works all things good for those who
Yeah.
love him and serve
Right.
him. And so that's how I've taken it. I mean, I always say my faith was a massive portion of how I was able
It
to
has
process
to be.
through.
Yeah. It has.
And when you believe in a good God who loves you and has a plan for you, no matter how sad the things are that you've experienced, then you know there's an
Right.
outcome. There's a possibility of even greater. So
Yeah.
when we get into the second portion of the podcast, I'll share sort of some of that with you guys, and we'll get into the healing of it. So thank you for asking me that. It's hard to actually say it,
Yeah,
like
I know.
in a public venue when you say it.
Right, because you always ask us these questions, like,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad you shared that,
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not
Because
easy.
think about it, like you're sharing. This is so different trauma,
Yes.
death,
Yeah.
sickness,
Yeah.
abuse, mental, physically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Abandonment, feeling,
Yeah.
that you can't be alone, and
Yeah.
like so. It's so.
It's
Think about it.
so different
Pool
and
is so
so
big.
grievous. Yeah, it's so grievous. The
Yeah.
the wounding, it can be very, very, very,
Yeah.
very deep and very powerful.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about talking about our own traumas will help the listeners
Yeah.
identify themselves.
Yeah. Right.
In a more real manner.
Yeah.
Because it's real people talking about real situations.
Yeah, it's
and
definitely
that
real.
Can happen, that
Yeah,
can happen.
it got really real, really
that can happen,
fast.
That can happen to anyone. So
Absolutely.
there's no shame in trauma. There's
No.
nothing bad with that.
Yes.
It's just a knowledge that is there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's
true.
True.
Very true.
So sort of grounding ourselves here and then moving forward, how would you guys like to proceed? Do you want to talk about healing from trauma? Do you want to talk about, sort of the different kinds of trauma? Do you want to talk about that video that we watched?
Probably,
we should talk-
Probably identifying trauma. How do you identify the trauma? How you find out about that? And also healing is a good point as well.
So how to identify trauma?
Yeah, because I was doing what I was doing for years. Probably that's huge.
Well-
Probably like 20 years. I didn't know why.
Yeah. Well, like identifying. I mean, it's a really good question. Like, you're basically saying like trauma and what's the difference? Like just having a bad situation, right? And trauma. Like what's the difference? Like between, you're just.
I think you were talking about going back in your life and kind of picking out what those trauma.
Yeah,
the trauma events
if
were.
you have a very specific behavior, let's say drugs, alcohol, or doing something that you don't know what you're doing.
A compulsion of some sort, an addiction. Yeah.
An addiction, or you're doing something bad. You, of course, there's professional help for that, of course, but also you can talk to yourself, and then you can try. Most people, they try to, talk to themselves and try to fix stuff. Probably finding why, just making the question is huge.
Yeah.
Why I have to live like this? Why everything has to be a mess? Why I have to be like this with my family? Why I have to abandon myself? Why I have to treat my body like I don't deserve being loved or something? And then when you ask those questions, probably if you are in peace at that moment, you will maybe find the answer going back in time. Because sometimes we just go day by day rushing, doing things. It's so crazy right now. Time pass flying.
Yeah.
But we never do the pause to think why I'm doing this. Why
Yeah.
I'm hurting.
I think
why
it's
I'm
actually,
hurting myself.
I think it's actually as simple as really being self-aware.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's like what was wrong. Everybody knows in their mind. Like if you could look back, what happened?
Right.
You can say that to yourself. The question is if you choose to ask yourself that. So if you're saying, like, let's discuss about identifying your traumas, it's very, very simple. And it involves looking inward and reviewing the tape of your life. It's just that simple. Now, I will tell you, part of the response that a kid has is that you actually, like I can tell you from me, very large sections of my childhood are gone. There's just blanks.
Okay.
So you can't go back and be like, what happened in that blank? Because what my brain did was disassociate from whatever it was and hit pause. It's just like, okay, this is too painful. The person who should love me the most in the world and I should feel the safest with is the most dangerous person I know. I'm going to go ahead and
So you lost
erase
that.
the tape. Yeah. So I don't have sections of my childhood. But here's what I will say. Here's the self-awareness. Wow. I can't remember whole sections of my childhood. So clearly, that was that. Now, let me just say, the other half of that is part of that self-awareness is, wow, that really sucked. That's bad.
Yeah.
But the other thing that you can do at the same time is, but what were the bright spots in my life? If my mother was my dark spot, my father was my light spot. Like my father was a great dad.
Yeah.
He was fantastic. And he ended up being my very best friend in the world for the rest of my life. So at the same time, you're like,
What about me? No.
you're my soul sister.
I'm kidding. I loved
But
Papa.
my dad,
I know he was.
and he treated you like a daughter.
Yeah, he did.
He considered you
He
a daughter.
really did.
So, which is one of the things I loved
Yeah.
about him is that he recognized that. And so I would say like that, to answer the question of how do you identify trauma, if we're saying to the people who are watching, if you can be brave enough for even short periods of time to sit back and go, I'm going to really, even if it's, I believe in writing everything down. A lot of people don't. But writing down, what are the things that you look back on and go, man, that was wrong. That shouldn't have happened. Or I can't believe that happened. We watched a video. Do you remember what the name of the video was? The documentary that we watched?
Oh, gosh.
It was with a doctor named Dr. Gabor Mate. And I think it was called The Wisdom of Trauma. The Wisdom of Trauma was the documentary. And he's an incredible therapist, very sort of cutting edge with some sort of like kind of controversial sort of portions about how he does therapy. But he had, this documentary had him in these group settings. And in the group setting, when you hear about what happened to some of these women in these centers, or men that he's treating, things that happened to them, you're like, oh, that is so painful. How are they even walking? Well, they're walking with the help of a lot of drugs, or like just pounding alcohol, whatever it is. And so what he did was he went through and he said, this is something I wrote down. There's a wisdom in trauma when we realize the way we react is not who we are. it doesn't define us. It doesn't make us short-circuited for the rest of our lives. It says rather, how we work through the trauma is who we are. And it starts with identifying, what is my trauma? And then you begin to heal, because then you can choose, okay, I want to move past this and I want to be better for it. So I think that's kind of what you were talking about. Now
Yeah,
sort
now
of
I get
identifying.
it. Yeah, because I was thinking more like on the physical, like how are you, like as you're feeling trauma? Like
Yeah.
how do you know if that's really trauma? That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
You know, and how it affects the
But-
brain and your emotions and all that
Yeah,
kind of
that's
stuff.
very
You said it.
scientific.
I know. I'm usually not like that, but that's what I thought he was
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah.
But I thought the documentary was really good too. I mean, I like a couple of things that he said that really, stayed with me was that pain can show what is deeper inside of yourself.
Yeah.
Like the trauma, like when we feel pain, it's not always bad because it's letting us know basically that. But what I found interesting, really interesting, what he was talking about, there was many things I did, but he was talking about how trauma affects the brain and how literally physically, when they look at a child who has been traumatized than a child that has not, that the brain looks different.
Yes.
That really, I was like, okay, so it really physically changes
Correct.
the brain when you're traumatized.
That's crazy.
And
Right?
then think about this. That child grows up and has children. So the DNA that they're passing to them has that data. And he was talking about the mid-frontal cortex.
Yes, I knew she would write all that
Yeah.
down. I knew it.
It becomes limited by the trauma.
It was so
So
interesting.
as they become adults and they have children,
Yeah.
that mid-frontal cortex never developed.
That's crazy.
So then you see how trauma can be generational, how it can be, how you can have children that have a biological reflection of what you went through. Yeah, that was kind of interesting.
Oh, it's so good. And then him talking about trauma is becoming an epidemic, like that really, too. You don't think about that. Would you ever think, oh, trauma is an epidemic? But there's a lot of trauma, and
Well, think about this. If you're traumatized and then you think, well, that's the way I'm supposed to live as an adult, and you do the same thing to your children, how is it not going to be an epidemic? It's
That's
spreading it, genetically.
yeah.
I want to take that actual opportunity
Yeah.
right now to go over something called adverse childhood experiences. And they're in big groups, but I think that there are actually 10 of them. And the way that you score that if you've experienced trauma is if you have 6 out of 10 of these. I think that's how it is.
Okay.
But, fact check me if you're out there wondering about this. So what happens is, this was interesting. In the documentary, there was a woman who does a lot of work with prison inmates. And she had this huge circle of prison inmates in a maximum security prison who were basically all murderers in the documentary.
Right.
And she said she started reading the ACEs. ACEs are adverse childhood experiences. And she said, she reads them all and she said, if you have 6 of these, step forward. And literally almost the entire circle stepped inward.
Yeah.
And you look and you go, okay, there's a correlation between these people living this wildly malfunctional, maladaptive, dysfunctional life that they end up in prison for the rest of their
Right.
lives.
Some of them were there for the rest of their lives.
They were lifers. And these. So I'm going to read them to you.
Sure.
I'm going to do it really quickly. But if you're watching and you're wondering about these ACEs, this is what they are. There's abuse. There's 3 different categories: abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction. Okay? In the abuse section of these 10 ACEs, these are experiences where a child is hurt emotionally or physically. Physical abuse, being hit, pushed, slapped, or physically harmed. Emotional, verbal abuse, being yelled at, insulted, shamed, or constantly belittled. And the third is sexual abuse, any sexual contact or behavior imposed on a child. So then the ACEs that are in neglect, these are situations where a child's basic needs aren't met. Physical neglect, not having enough food, clean clothes, medical care, or safe housing. And the next is emotional neglect, not feeling loved, supported, or cared for, caregivers who are emotionally unavailable. And then the final section is household dysfunction. These are stressful or unstable family situations kids grow up in. Domestic violence, witnessing a parent or adult being hit, threatened, or harmed. Substance abuse in the home, living with someone who misuses alcohol or drugs. Mental illness in the home, living with someone who struggles with serious mental health issues. Parental separation or divorce, parents no longer living together due to conflict or separation. And finally, an incarcerated family member, having a parent or close household member who is in jail or prison. And if you think about life, a lot of those go together.
Yeah.
It's like a cascading effect. So this is what it is. The key point is ACEs are not just bad memories. They're experiences that can, one, disrupt brain development. That's what you're talking about, the midfrontal cortex. Two, affect how a child learns to trust, connect, and cope. And three, increase the risk of health and emotional problems later in life, especially when multiple ACEs stack over time. And this is the most critical part. Even if you have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these, ACEs don't equal destiny. There are pathways forward
Right.
through these things, and they include positive relationships, supportive adults, therapy, community, faith, and healthy coping can heal those impacts. So there is hope.
Well, as I'm sitting here, I'm just thinking, it all starts when you're a child.
Yeah,
Everything you read
yeah,
starts when you're a child.
yeah.
But,
It does.
but also,
All of it.
But also, I was seeing that, for example, when a mom is pregnant, doesn't want to have the baby, and wants to get rid of him or her, and she ended up having the baby. So that trauma also can begin.
Oh, that was from the documentary.
Yeah, trauma can also begin before you are born,
Well,
you
Oh, yeah.
in the
In the womb.
in the womb.
A baby will die. This was in the documentary.
Oh yeah.
my
A
gosh.
baby will die. It actually makes me want to weep.
Right.
A baby will die if it's not helped.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Right, because it's the connection. I know it's horrible.
Because it needs the connection.
Connection. The
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah, that's just horrible to think about any baby not being held.
No, but you never think about that.
Yeah.
Like the baby needs the connection of the brain. Like it's
Yeah,
like,
and
how
actually,
does it know? Like it's just
It looks into its
Yeah.
mom's eyes,
Yeah.
and that's how it feels the security. It feels the love. It feels the tenderness of that embrace.
so you're when
Yes,
you're
it
an
is.
when you're
Yeah.
a child. I mean, just think about it. You're a baby and newborn, and your trauma already.
So that's why I believe that trauma is a very complex, very important topic. It's
Yeah.
very hard.
It is, because even like he talked about too, like addiction is I think did I write that down? Addiction is a response to the trauma.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it
it's
always
disconnecting your feelings because they're too overwhelming. Yeah.
But a lot of the people that were on, the majority of them were all addicts. They
Yeah.
all, I mean,
Yeah.
it was.
And there were some amazing. So if anyone watches the documentary, there are some incredible stories of
Yeah.
triumph in
Oh,
that
yeah.
documentary too. We want to
yes.
assure you of that, because it was like inspiring just watching people
It was.
push through that,
It
and
definitely
learn
was.
from that. Okay. Let's move forward and talk
Yeah.
about healing from
Yes.
trauma. Carlos,
Okay.
do you want to start us?
Yes.
Okay.
Probably healing from trauma is, as you said before, a huge step is awareness. Being you need connection, you need peace. I was reading and I read something about, in order to heal, you need to feel safe.
Yeah.
And
That's well said.
yes, and then that's a good starting point to look for healing, begin to going back in time. So now you feel safe for whatever happens to you in the past. And that, I think that's a huge step, being aware of what happens to you and going back in time and try to be a better person.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole purpose of this conversation is how to improve yourself,
Yeah.
how to overcome anything to happen to you in the past, and understanding that whatever happens, that doesn't define you.
Yeah.
You know.
It is true. You're right.
It's well said. Nan, do you want to go?
Yeah, I have a couple of things here. I don't know if my notes on my phone are the best. I'm trying to think what's the best way for me. Trauma, like healing from trauma, restoring safety and reprocessing the experience so it's no longer controls your emotions or body. There's no one right path. People heal differently. But these are different approaches. Like Carlos, you were saying create safety, like safety, therapy if it's possible. They put so many different types of therapy too.
Yeah.
Like it's different types. Like some I've never even heard of. Processing your emotions, like journaling, talking to someone.
Yeah.
Crying or allowing emotions instead of, let your emotions come out instead of suppressing them.
Yeah.
Healthy relationships, supportive relationships, talking with trusting people, spending time with those who make you feel calm.
Yeah.
Some people, need a faith base, which that's the route we do
Yes.
too, with spiritually healing. Avoiding things, try to avoid unhealthy coping, like so this is good, so try to avoid these things when you're trying to heal. So avoiding unhealthy coping. Trauma sometimes leads to isolation, overworking, drinking, numbing through screen time.
Ooh.
That was interesting.
That's very common.
Yeah, avoiding emotions entirely. So isolation, this is what trauma causes: overworking, drinking, numbing through screen time. I thought that was really interesting.
Numbing through screen time seems so benign.
Right?
But in fact, it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to know, like, I shouldn't say destroy, because trauma can destroy a person. I mean, it could. If you don't heal, get help, or heal.
Yeah,
in
you're
some way,
right.
it can destroy you. And I wanted to do a little research on that, and it talks about what it can do to you. So if you don't heal, it can shatter your sense of safety, your confidence, your trust in people, your ability to relax, your view of yourself, your hope for the future. So, trauma can break you, but it does not have the same thing, like we said, doesn't have to have the final say.
Yeah.
People survive things they should never had to face, and the very parts trauma tries to destroy can become the parts that grow stronger and more grounded when healing begins.
Yes.
So you take the trauma. Oh, it's so sad, though. You think about like all the things that it does. The trauma impacts your brain, your nervous system, your emotions. Oh, gosh. It's not in your head.
Yeah.
It's in your body, your reactions, your memories, your sleep, and your fears.
Yes.
You're not imagining it. You're not weak. You're human.
Yeah, that's really
That's
good.
so good.
That's a good, yes.
Right?
It's wonderful.
I mean, the way to look at it, because it can destroy you. Because I'm like, I want, you can't bury it, because it always come out
Yeah.
sooner or later.
This is what I heard a therapist once say. He said, trauma is like a giant beach ball. This is a therapist that I saw.
Yeah.
And he said, you can push it
Yep.
under the water.
That's such a good visual.
But the harder you push trauma down, the more it will come bursting out of the water. So just think
Good,
about
that's a
being
good
in the
visual.
ocean
Yeah.
with a beach ball and pushing it down.
I've tried to do that before.
And the more you try and push the beach ball under
Yeah.
the water, the more violently it comes out of the water. That was one of the best things I ever heard about trauma from that therapist, who's really
That's
incredibly
really
skilled.
good.
Yeah, it was really good. It was a big visual for me. Because
Yeah.
it's like, well, may as well just go ahead and let's pull it out of the water.
Right, because you can't keep it under.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
It will come up eventually. It may not come up right away. Like even like I talked about me having post-traumatic stress 10 years later. And I'm like, wait a minute, why do I feel this? And it literally physically affected me.
Yeah.
I started having heart palpitations.
Yes.
I started having like all this.
Well, think it can physically affect you. And the way it comes out is different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So I want to share what I've learned about healing and about a different way of viewing trauma, because what I wanted to think was, well, how can we reframe the very worst things that have happened to us? And so the 3 points that I found and that are just incredibly valuable are, number one, trauma it's not just what happened or how you responded to them, but it's also what you never got to learn. Okay. So it's instead of looking at it as, so a lot of people, they experience trauma and then they start using drugs at 13, 14, 15. Instead, they're using drugs at 13, 14, 15, which means they didn't get to learn how to process the wholeness of their self. They never learned to say, hey, and I have to say this about my mom. My mom tried the very best she could. I recognize that now. She did the best she could with what she had. She was back at the time, bipolar, had like 5 ranges.
are you talking about your mom?
My mom
okay.
was depressive.
Yeah. Okay.
So she used alcohol to what she thought was going to lift her spirits. Alcohol is a depressant.
Right.
So you're a depressive, and then you drink depressive stuff. So what she didn't learn at whatever the age was that she experienced trauma, whatever that was, I have no idea, was, hey, I get to use my words. Hey, I get to assert my otherness from my parent, whatever happened with her parents. So trauma isn't just what happened or how you responded to it. It's what you didn't learn to do. So for example, hey, what you're doing is wrong. What 13-year-old kid thinks to say that to their mother?
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's one of the most, this is interesting. It said people blame themselves for being too sensitive or bad at relationships. But if trauma occurred during key developmental windows with trust formation, self-worth, emotional regulation, that person never learned those skills on schedule. So the practical takeaway is you're really not broken. You just didn't learn, and it's never too late to learn. That's number one to healing. Number 2 is, it said trauma is contagious, but so is regulation.
Contagious.
Trauma is contagious. So it says humans co-regulate. What that means is you feel the mood of your closest people to you.
Oh.
You know, when they say happiness is contagious, sadness is contagious, that's what that means.
Okay, yeah.
So everyone knows trauma can be transmitted across generations, but few talk about the fact that the nervous systems sync. Like, so in other words, if you're an adult who's creating chaos all the time, the kid feels chaos all the time, right? That nervous system of the kid is always like, something bad's going to happen every 5 seconds.
Sure.
That's what it means by nervous systems sync. And so a dysregulated parent unconsciously teaches a child hypervigilance. That means that the child's like, what's happening next?
They don't know that they're teaching that child that. It's just how they're acting. Yeah.
But a calm, safe person can reverse that process. So most listeners believe healing requires digging up the past. But often, according to like a lot of like studies that are being done now, the fastest results come from changing the nervous systems they spend the most time around. So for example, if your friends are super hyper or massive partiers, or they all have experienced trauma in some way, and then they turn around and they go out and they party their butts off, don't be around them. Because those nervous systems, everybody's saying, let's go out and party like it's 1999 or whatever it is. And like the world is ending. And instead, they decide, Carlos is a classic example of this.
Exactly.
He said, what's wrong? He was able to go down and delve into the past. But what did he do? He started spending time with his amazing wife. And then you become this incredible family man.
Right.
And you create these wonderful adventures for your kids, and you take them camping, and you experience, you expose them to like the stars at night, the things you didn't have, you give them. That's healing, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So it says healing accelerates not just from that introspection that we've talked about, but from relational environments where someone else's calm becomes contagious. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it does, because if somebody, think about it, if somebody's comes around you and they have some negativity or they're in a bad mood, it just kind of can wear off on you.
Yes.
I mean, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
So you don't want to be around that person, and you're like,
So that's a way to heal. Separate yourself from someone who makes you feel icky. Go back and look at
right.
at one of our podcasts. It was about toxic people. And the one that's just about to drop, because we film these well in advance, is about narcissism.
Yes, narcissism, yes.
It's episode 13. Okay, the final point I have to make about healing and about looking at trauma from a slightly different angle is trauma isn't necessarily a memory problem. It's a prediction system. Okay, so I'll give you an example of this. My mom could not be trusted for large periods of her life. She was an amazing mom when she was sober.
Right.
But for large periods of her life, I could not trust anything that my mom said or did. So what did I learn? I learned, you know what? I want to be around people who are people of their word. I became like adamant about promise. Like if someone promises me something and they one time break the promise, I will not spend time with that person again, because they are not trustworthy. Right? So what did I say? I started as a child predicting everyone's going to fail. Everyone will fail me. Nobody will live up to their word. So you start predicting that about everybody. And so I could well have gone into my entire life never trusting anybody. So it says the brain doesn't store trauma as a past event because the brain is always learning. It stores it as a future probability.
That makes a lot of sense.
Not a possibility, a probability. Think about that. What the brain says is that's going to happen again, most likely. So it rewires the brain's forecasting system, causing it to assume danger where none exists.
That's
so I'll tell you,
trauma.
part of why Nan is my soul sister, and this is really important, and I told you this very, very early on, and as we became closer and closer, I said to you, not only do I feel like I can truly trust you, but also I know that you are absolutely committed to your word, and short of something terrible happening that you couldn't be there for me, you will always be there for me.
Right.
That is how I picked my soul sister. Like that's an incredibly important part. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. And you would be sick to not do it.
Yeah, it'd have
the only way is that if you get sick.
Right, but I would be there. But you're right. That makes a lot of sense, because you think about it. Because when you're in the future, like you're talking about the future, the probability of something happening, that trauma affects what happened to you in your younger years.
Right.
Affects on how you're looking at something for your future.
Yeah.
Like you're like, well.
Or even in your later years, for example.
Yes, later years.
You date somebody who does that, you're going to think the next 10 people who you date are going to do that.
Trauma. That's exactly.
You have the predisposition.
Well, what you think is that everybody has that predisposition.
Right.
That's what this is about. So this is important. So what this does is it reframes reactions like in me, avoidance, panic, and distrust. They're not irrational symptoms. They're actually extremely logical. So I can give myself grace.
Yeah.
It's logical to think that people will break their word. It's logical to think that.
Right.
But
Because of
and your brain is saying, so protect you. I got to protect you. The brain is always trying to protect the body. The brain is always trying to protect the heart. Your emotions.
Yeah.
So then the most important part of how you turn that prediction system, when you recognize, hey, I've got sort of a glitchy prediction system. It's based on trauma, but that's not my future. My past does not predicate my future. My past is just my past, and it can make me stronger. So this is interesting. Healing is not erasing what happens. It's teaching the brain more accurate predictions through, one, safe repetition, new relational data, making different friends, controlled exposure. I don't even know what that means. And then micro success experiences. So a micro success for me would be the first time that Nan really was a person of her word.
Right.
Me saying, wow, I've met a person of her word. They actually do exist. They really are out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and what this does is it shifts trauma from storytelling, like to retraining your brain's predictive capacity. Does that make sense?
No, it makes a lot of
rewiring,
sense.
right?
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So those are the three ways that I wanted to share. And it's like very sort of like, it's heavy, but it's really, really applicable. So just to sort of reiterate, trauma isn't just what happened. It's that you didn't learn particular skills, but it's not too late.
Right.
Then trauma is contagious, but so is being around people who restore your peace. That's contagious. And then finally, trauma isn't just about your memories. It's also about your brain creating a prediction system that you can then retrain your brain on those predictions.
Yeah.
Those are the biggest takeaways for healing that I could provide.
Yeah. Yeah. And, but in your journey, you did it with a lot of therapy.
I did.
Yeah. It wasn't something that just,
I did. And I
Yeah.
started early.
yeah.
I started in my 20s.
Yeah.
And I haven't constantly been in therapy, but when something goes sideways, knowing that I have like a history that's not necessarily extremely foundational or very sort of normal, I go, oh, my amazing therapist can help me with this.
Yeah.
You know, when my dad died, that's the person who, you know, I loved the most. I was in therapy getting ready for that to happen,
Yeah.
you know? So you can do that. Therapy was my answer.
Yeah.
But also, I will tell you, it wasn't just the therapy. It's like, I am a researcher. And I know that we have people out there. I want to shout out to Janice. She's a researcher.
Right. Yeah.
And she's amazing. She learns things and then teaches other people
Yeah.
those things as she researches what happens. So, and thank you, Janice. We love you for watching us. But
Yes, we
but
do.
she does a huge amount of reading. I read a lot. What I always said was, I'm going to educate myself as much as I humanly can to suck the poison out of this
Right.
thing. The more you learn about something, the less poisonous it becomes. So those were my two things that I did.
So that's good that people know that. It
Yeah.
wasn't something that you just did, like, you know, it took a little work on your part to help get through that.
Work and money. So one of the things about reading is it's free.
Yeah.
You know, therapy costs. Reading is free. That was kind of a big deal. Yeah. What about you?
What about me?
How
Next
you
question.
healing from your trauma?
Oh,
That you just asked me that question. You forgot your own question.
oh my gosh. For me, it's honestly, it is therapy. And it was therapy. And because that's when I came to you, remember? Like many years
Yes.
ago, I was like, I got to do something like this. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know? And so, and honestly, like for me, it was a lot of self, like care, like for myself, like
Yes.
emotionally, like taking time
Yeah.
to work on myself too.
Yes.
Like finding the
Yeah.
things that I really enjoyed to
Yeah.
do, things that gave me peace. And sticking with it. Like it wasn't like short term, because a lot of times it's something you have to be consistent
Yeah.
with, you know, when you
Yeah.
have trauma too. Like
Yeah.
you just have to you be consistent. And as I was more consistent in doing these things,
Yeah.
I've got better.
Yeah.
Like you could just see it's just so much lighter.
Yeah.
The trauma is lighter. I mean, you never forget that trauma. And there's moments where you go back, or you're in a situation like me being on a plane, or just things, you know, if my husband starts not feeling well,
Yes.
those are like little triggers that you start thinking, oh, it brings back that trauma, but it's nothing.
And then
like
what
that.
you say to yourself is, that's not happening
No,
right
that's
now.
not. It's
That's
not.
my past. That's not my
past.
future.
Exactly. So it's kind of like what you're talking about
Yeah.
too, but definitely a lot of like self-reflection,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And really,
Yeah.
and doing reading, really getting into my Bible, honestly,
Yeah.
really. For me, that was
Yeah,
huge.
faith. I know. I feel like I
Yeah.
missed something huge
No,
that
it's
I didn't mention.
faith.
My faith is so foundational. I don't even consider it something.
Right. It's
You
just
know
a
what I mean?
normal thing for
I'm
you.
glad you said that.
Yeah, because for me, it's like, I'm like, God, you never forsake me or leave me. You never have through everything.
Yes.
You know, so that
Big deal.
huge for me.
How
Huge
about
for me.
you, Carlos?
What I said before, the things that I was doing wrong, and how I changed my behavior for good. And even if you don't have the ability to hire a professional,
Right.
Probably talking to yourself, connection. I was reading about that, and they say that connection, not isolating
Yes,
yourself.
terrible isolation.
When you have connection, that helps a lot.
Yeah.
Talking to somebody else, maybe your wife, maybe a good friend,
Mm-hmm.
and that just having someone that listen to you,
Yeah.
that might help also sometimes.
Yeah.
But definitely, improving yourself, if that's the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, that is good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're actually
Yeah.
winding up.
Yeah.
Any sort of takeaway that you really want to share with the group? I've already shared mine.
Okay. Well-
Carlos, you've shared yours. Do you have any takeaways?
Yeah, I know what I just say.
Yeah. Okay. What about you?
Well, I want to say that remember that trauma doesn't have to destroy you.
Yeah.
Okay. You are wounded, and wounded people can heal. Sometimes healing is slow. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it feels like you're going backwards too. But healing is still possible, even if you don't see it quite yet. You know, it just takes time
Yeah.
and a little bit of work. But you can heal.
Yeah.
You know, trauma doesn't have to be with you forever.
Yes.
I mean, it's with you, but it doesn't have to be so. I don't know if active would be it, or what would be a word, like it doesn't have to be so traumatic, I guess, right? In a sense, the trauma doesn't have to be so traumatic. I don't even know.
I think what you want to say is it doesn't have to have the last word.
Yes, that's
really
it.
what
That's
you're trying to say.
perfect. Why did
Trauma
you just interrupt
doesn't
me and tell me
have
that? That's
to have
perfect. It
the last
doesn't
word.
have to have the last word.
Yeah, and I
It
think
really
that there's
doesn't.
so much hope in that.
Yeah. you
And
know.
joy. There's joy in
There
the
is.
world. If we've gone through everything, what I want to do is close us in prayer,
Yeah, perfect.
and then you close us with reminding us what we
Yes.
always try and live our lives by. So let's go to the Father in prayer.
Yep.
Heavenly Father, we come to you in the name of Jesus, who experienced the ultimate trauma, dying on a cross from us, but then rose again in fulfillment of the scriptures and saved us. Lord, we thank you for him. We thank you
Yep.
for this day, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about these weighty, difficult things. Lord, we pray that you would minister to everyone within the sound of our voices, that you would give them hope, because your word says you have plans for them. In Jeremiah 29:11-13, you have a plan for them. You have a plan to give them a hope and a future. And you plan to prosper them, not to harm them. And Lord, I pray that they would stand on the truth of your word right now. And God, that they would go to you with the pains and the hurts that they have and ask you to help them move forward through the trauma that they've experienced. Lord, we ask that you bless them, that you keep them, that you favor them, and that you show them freedom through your Son, Jesus. And it's in his mighty name that we pray.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. And speaking of beautiful, remind everybody what we say.
Remember to take things lightly while doing life deeply.
Yeah, it's important. We love you guys so
Yes.
much.
Yes,
You know where you
everybody.
can find us. If you have questions or or you just want to reach out, we welcome and encourage you to email us on our website, gratitudeandattitude.life. We're on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. We're on a bunch of different platforms on YouTube, obviously, and our handle is at Gratitude and Attitude Podcast.
Yeah.
And we just love that you're doing this journey with us. We hope that you've gotten one thing from today.
Yes.
And we will see you the next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.